You're listening to the Sales Chameleon Podcast. Smarter sales, stronger growth, simplified.
Hey there, welcome back to the Sales Chameleon Podcast where selling smarter starts. I'm your host, Heather Coggins, and today I'm going to be diving into why trust is really the foundation of successful sales relationships and any relationship for that matter. How consultative and versatile selling can help you build and maintain trust. And I'm also going to talk through, hey, if you do slip up, what it actually takes to then regain that trust and move forward in the most effective way. So let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so I want to start off by talking about trust and respect because those are two fundamental pillars of strong relationships. And so in any relationship, when trust is high, relationship tension is going to be low, which is a good thing, and task tension, which is essentially the willingness for someone to want to do business with you, is going to be high, also a good thing. Okay, and so when that balance is in your favor, everything ends up moving a whole lot smoother. But when that trust is gone, well, so is everything else, okay? And so in sales, losing trust really means losing deals, losing customers, and even losing credibility. And the real challenge is, having to, rebuild that trust once it's lost or once it's gone. That's the biggest challenge because rebuilding trust is super tough and sometimes it's impossible. And so, earlier I mentioned that trust and respect are two fundamental pillars of strong relationships. And that's because they form the foundation of everything. So whether that's in business or life, when we look at their impact in sales, specifically, there's a few key things that you really need to keep in mind. And so I'm going to go ahead and talk through those. And the first is that trust is the real currency in sales. So customers don't just buy from the person with the best pitch or the flashiest commercials. They buy from that person that they trust. And without that trust, even the best offer can fall flat. So keep that one in mind. Secondly is respect. And more specifically, respect is a two-way street. Okay, so the way customers feel about their interactions with you directly is ultimately going to affect their willingness to engage, listen, and, eventually buy. So you want to make sure that you're presenting yourself in a respectable way and that you're respecting your customers and your prospects as well. And then thirdly is high trust organizations, they win, okay? Companies that prioritize that trust, not only do they drive more sales, but they also retain customers longer and they build that long-term value. And so at the end of the day, trust is going to really accelerate the sales process. And so, when it's not there, or if there's a lack of trust, what that's going to do instead of accelerating the sales process is that it's going to really end up creating that friction and that hesitation. And so if you want smoother deals, if you want stronger relationships and lasting success, you want to make sure that you're focusing on building and maintaining trust. And so now let's go ahead and start talking a little bit more about how you can build and maintain trust through utilizing or leveraging consultative selling, okay? Because trust isn't just something that you ask for. It's something that you have to earn. And the best way to earn it is really by putting your prospects and your customers first. And so I'm going to go ahead and talk through 4 key ways that you can make that happen. And the first is going to be through active listening and discovery. So stop pushing your products, your features, all of that. Stop pushing all of that on your customers and take a moment to step back and start understanding. Okay, too many salespeople, too many businesses, they jump straight into pitching without really taking the time to actually understand what their customer really needs. And so when you do take that time and you start asking all those great discovery questions, you listen intently to actually hear what they're saying versus listening to respond, That allows you to dig deeper into their challenges, and then ultimately you're not just selling, you're helping solve a problem, and you're truly presenting a solution that works for your customers. And that is what ultimately builds trust, okay? The second is going to be transparency and honesty. So sometimes, quote unquote, this may not be the right fit is the best sales move, right? Customers can smell desperation from a mile away. And if you're willing to tell them when your solution just isn't the right one, you instantly become more credible. And ironically, this kind of honesty can, often make people actually want to work with you even more. So keep in mind, transparency and honesty are key. Thirdly is going to be consistency and follow through, okay? Small commitments kept really ends up equaling big trust earned from your customers and your prospects. And so, if you've ever heard someone say, or you've ever been in a situation where someone's told you, yeah, I'll follow up with you on that, and then a day, 2 days, a week, 2 weeks go by and still nothing, you start to, not feel like you can trust that person for things going forward. And so trust isn't really all about, being built on these big gestures. It's really built on the little things. And that can include sending that recap email, making that promised call, delivering what you said when you said you would, okay? Every small follow through is really going to add up to a reputation of reliability. And that is certainly key in building and maintaining trust. And then fourth is going to be just respecting their process, okay? It's not about you closing or you making a sale. It's really all about them deciding. And so the best sales reps aren't focused on their timeline. They're focused on the customers, okay? And so when you respect their decision-making process instead of rushing them towards a sale or a close, you're going to end up creating that environment where they feel confident and they don't feel pressured. And when buyers feel confident, they're the ones who are going to come back not only for that initial sale, but they're going to be repeat buyers as well, okay? And so at the end of the day here, trust is going to be what turns those one-time buyers into your lifelong customers, and consultative selling is going to be one of the best ways to help you build that. And so at this point, we've talked about the importance of building and maintaining trust, but what about when things go south, okay? Because let's be real, at some point, trust will be broken, whether intentionally or unintentionally, right? So it could be a miscommunication, an overpromise, or just a straight up mistake. And so how you handle it truly is going to make all of the difference, okay? And so I want to talk through what happens when trust takes a hit. So when you lose trust with your prospects, with your customers, with a friend, any kind of relationship, things kind of start going south, right? And so if we focus on what lost trust does in business, is that ends up resulting in lost sales, bad reviews, and major skepticism, okay? Customers talk, and when they feel burned, they really talk, okay? And so you have to be mindful of that. They tend to tell a whole lot more people when things go south than when they have a positive experience. And so a broken promise doesn't just cost you one deal. It can really create an entire ripple effect of negative word of mouth and future customers, ultimately second guessing if they should work with you at all. The hardest truth with this is that words alone aren't going to fix it, okay? Apologies are nice, but they don't rebuild trust. Actions do, okay? And so there's no amount of, we're sorry for the inconvenience, that is going to matter if nothing actually changes. Okay, and so I'm not saying don't apologize at all. You should for sure apologize, and hopefully you're genuine when you do it, but the apology should also be followed by a change in some sort of action. Okay, and so how do you rebuild? Right? It's not easy, but I do have a game plan for you to follow if you do ever, get into one of these situations. So first, you want to start by just owning the mistake, okay? Take accountability, no excuses, no deflection, just a simple, hey, we messed up and here's how we're fixing it. That's going to go a long way, okay? Secondly, take corrective action, right? I already said that although it is important to apologize and own that mistake, it needs to be followed with some sort of corrective action. So you need to make sure that you show you're not just telling. And so if a product failed, make sure you replace it. If you overpromised, make sure you're resetting that expectation and you're making it right. Okay? And then thirdly is give it time. Okay? Trust is not demanded back. It's really earned back. And so you have to, as a business owner, as a salesperson, as a friend, you really have to be patient. You have to stay consistent and really let your actions do the talking. Okay? And this is where versatile selling truly comes into play, because rebuilding trust isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. Okay? Some of those customers are going to need reassurance. Others are going to need proof, and some are just going to need space. And so when you adapt your approach based on their expectations, that's going to be extremely key to helping you restore that credibility. Okay. And so just remember here that yes, losing trust, it can happen. But more importantly, to understand that it can happen very quickly. In fact, it can happen in seconds, and earning it back is going to take patience, proof, and a genuine commitment to just doing better. Okay. And so as I bring this episode to a close, I want to leave you with a final thought and a very simple call to action. And so my final thought is just to kind of remind you that trust and respect aren't just sales tactics. They are business currency. And so the more you have, the more you're able to accomplish. But once it's lost, good luck getting it back without putting in the work. Okay? So take a step back and ask yourself, hey, are you truly earning trust in every interaction? Are you respecting your customers' needs and priorities? And if not, hey, today's the day to change that, okay? So if this episode resonated with you, please be sure to give it a like and share it with a fellow salesperson who also needs to hear it. And then also make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. And until next time, keep selling smarter, stay versatile, and I will catch you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Sales Chameleon Podcast.